We've got to be prepared. Those words coming from the Maryland State Superintendent of Schools after a bill has now been introduced in Washington to abolish the U.S. Department of Education. Project Baltimore's Chris Papps asked Dr. Carey Wright about the legislation to see how it could affect Maryland.
And as you have seen in the news,
Dr. Carey Wright has been Maryland State Superintendent of Schools for about a year. And with the election of Donald Trump, a lot could soon change.
Just a quick question about the DOE, the U.S. DOE.
A bill has formally been introduced in Washington, D.C. to shut down the U.S. Department of Education.
And what are your concerns, if any, moving forward with the proposal to abolish the DOE?
So no, I've not looked at the bill. I think that what we're trying to keep our eyes on, obviously, is the funding aspect of it.
And I'm going to close the Department of Education and move education back to the states. And we're going to do it fast.
During the 2024 campaign, President-elect Trump ran on a platform that included abolishing the DOE, but did not provide many details. Now, we're getting a better idea of what a DOE shutdown may look like. Senator Mike Rounds, a Republican from South Dakota, has introduced legislation that, if passed, would move many DOE functions to other federal agencies. Rounds says the bill would save taxpayer money on administrative costs, while limiting what he describes as regulatory overreach. According to the bill, federal programs that help students with disabilities would move to the Department of Health and Human Services. The DOE's Civil Rights Division would move to the Department of Justice, while student loan, research, and data collection would be taken over by the Treasury Department.
We're prepared to be partners with whoever we need to be partners with.
For Dr. Wright, the agency overseeing the programs doesn't seem to matter. What does matter is that Maryland students receive the services they need. And according to the bill, it appears many of those student services are not being removed.
If they've assigned something to HHS versus USDOE, then I'll be a partner with HHS. I mean, it's whoever I need to be the partner with in order to get the work done.
The U.S. Department of Education was created by Congress in 1979. This year, most of its $238 billion budget will go to student aid programs for colleges. The rest is largely distributed to the states to fund schools in high-poverty areas and to educate students with disabilities. In Maryland, about 7% of all public K-12 education dollars come from the federal government. That funding is Dr. Wright's biggest concern.
I think that we've got to be prepared if those funds get reduced in any way.
Wright did not explain what those preparations may look like, but she says curriculum and instruction is already largely handled on a state level. The federal government has little involvement. But if funding is affected by abolishing the DOE, she says that could have a significant impact on the services students receive.
And that's what we have to have.
President-elect Trump will be sworn in on January 20th, 2025. He has already nominated his former head of the Small Business Administration, Linda McMahon, to be the next and potentially last DOE secretary. Shutting down the U.S. Department of Education will require congressional approval. It's not guaranteed to happen, and lawmakers have not yet debated the bill. But Dr. Wright says no matter what does happen, Maryland will adapt.
We are still continuing to do our work here and focus on the students here and focus on what we can do to improve instruction across the state. And that will always be my first focus. And then we'll wait and see what plays out in D.C.
I'm Chris Papps, and this is Project Baltimore.
I'm Chris Papps. Thanks for watching. Here's another story to watch. Also, if you have a story idea, please send us a message.